Buckle up for a one-way trip down a not-so-ordinary highway. And now, from my Dark Matters collection, I present to you Hellraiser 1. Chapter 1. Evil Incarnate. James Johnson had just finished serving a 10-year prison sentence for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, and violation of a restraining order. He was, to put it mildly, a bad man, evil incarnate, and a natural-born hellraiser. His penchant for hair-trigger physical violence was legendary among all those who knew him. As a child, James spent much of his time torturing and killing animals, frying ants with a magnifying glass, running live mice through his kitchen blender, swinging cats by the tail into the sidewalk, and lighting nests filled with baby birds on fire. All brought a smile to his face. He was a disturbed, disruptive, intimidating, and incorrigible student who struck fear into every classroom he entered. He embarked on a life of violent criminal behavior when he dropped out of the 11th grade, quickly building an imposing rap sheet. James was an angry and abusive boyfriend to every young woman that was attracted to his bad boy personality, and he proudly became a poster boy for sociopaths, sadists, and psychopaths everywhere. They say you can't judge a book by its cover, but that didn't apply to James Johnson. As dangerous, violent, and unrepentant criminals go, he looked every bit the part, right down to his neck tattoo. Born to raise hell. The misspelling, R-A-Z-E, was unintentional, but proved to be more than a little ironic. God helped a stranger who happened to look at him wrong. Not even his mother could find any redeeming qualities in her own son. The warden, correction officers, and even his fellow inmates all breathed a sigh of relief on the day he was released. When the gates of the state penitentiary closed behind him, his thoughts turned to acquiring a ride. Next up would be a 9mm Sig Sauer, his weapon of choice for acquiring some easy cash. Then, a stash of Bolivian marching powder, as he loved the way it enhanced his violent nature. All that and the right girlfriend and a place to crash. But first, he had to get himself a set of wheels. Experience had taught him that the night time was always the right time. Even after 10 years behind bars, stealing a car was no real challenge for James. He couldn't believe his good luck when he found a late-model Cadillac Escalade sitting unattended with the engine running. Cherry red and fully loaded with blacked-out windows. It seemed almost too good to be true. "Hell yeah, baby," he exclaimed when he saw the vanity plates. Hellraiser 1. Chapter 2. No Ordinary Highway. His first surprise was the autonomous, self-driving feature that immediately took over at the click of his seatbelt. His attempts to take control were futile, as the Cadillac clearly had a mind of its own. He couldn't steer, brake, or even unlock the doors. The Escalade efficiently navigated the city streets, quickly finding its way onto a highway entrance ramp. On the freeway, James was struck by the lack of signage. Only standard speed limit signs, except there was nothing ordinary about them, as the speed limit was infinite. There was no parallel highway that went in the other direction, and not a single exit or entrance ramp, or even a rest stop in sight. It was a pitch-black night with no highway lights, buildings, or vehicles. Just the cherry red glow of the dashboard instruments and high beams that illuminated a highway descending down into the darkness. The SUV continued to accelerate on its downhill ride. The trees and grass faded into a landscape of barren and rocky terrain. The speedometer passed 180 as Hellraiser won, and the exterior air temperature was approaching the boiling point of water. James's sociopathic and reckless devil-may-care nature started to crack ever so slightly. As he soon discovered, this was no ordinary highway. A faint cherry red glow appeared on the horizon, giving him hope that the dawn of a new day would help him get a grip on his situation. The outside air temperature had reached 275, which matched the Escalade's speed. He was sweating bullets as the AC struggled to keep up, and the engine temperature gauge was redlined. The highway suddenly pitched downward in what felt like a near vertical descent. That cherry red glow grew brighter and brighter in the surrounding darkness, but the sun was nowhere to be seen. The Escalade shuddered as the speedometer topped out at 333, just as the road leveled off abruptly. The vehicle rapidly decelerated, and to James's great relief, a highway sign finally appeared in the vehicle's headlights. The cherry red SUV merged smoothly onto the exit ramp. A long and winding road led to a gravel parking lot, where a lonely neon sign blinked in the darkness. "Welcome, mortal sinners." After coming to a stop, the driver's side window lowered automatically, and a blast of intense heat struck James Johnson smack dab in a face that now looked more scared than scary. Chapter 3. Welcome home, Jimmy. The valet parking attendant emerged from the darkness, dressed in a cherry red ensemble that matched his crimson-colored skin. He sported a neck tattoo that was eerily similar to that of his new guest. Born to run hell. "Greetings, Johnson. Pleased to meet you. I have a little ditty to welcome you to your new home." The attendant then burst into song, channeling Jagger at his best. He gyrated to the iconic samba rhythm that he banged out on the hood of the Escalade, while taunting the driver with the song's refrain. At first, there was a sense of confusion and unease. Then, a realization that filled James Johnson with unimaginable terror, so much so that he was unable to suppress the spray of projectile vomit that splattered into the SUV's windshield. The singing stopped as suddenly as it started, and the parking attendant cackled with glee. Johnson screamed in vain. "Shh, shh, shh. Just playing with you, boy. That song's been stuck in my head since 1969, he squealed in a high-pitched voice, obviously excited to be meeting his newest arrival. "Oh, and FYI, that bit about courtesy and sympathy, JJ, just not a thing down here." Speaking of down here, I bet that was one sweet ride down old Route 666. Supercharged 6.2-liter V8 pushing 700 horses. Woo-hoo! My favorite flavor, too. By the by, I didn't mean to make you toss your cookies there, Jim. Don't be too embarrassed, my friend. You're not the first to feel me that way. And don't sweat the mess either. I have a few excellent detailers down here that own me." In an eye blink, he appeared at the open window and whispered into a still trembling left ear. "Shh, shh, easy now. Relax. I just want you to know that your stay here was well earned. Not many qualify for my valet service, but you made it an easy call, Jimmy." One good puff of his breath was all it took. Johnson recoiled in pain, reaching for an ear that had burst into flame. "Just warming up, Jimmy," laughed the valet. "The best is yet to come." This very bad man, this natural-born hellraiser, just stared vacantly into the abyss. And then, like clockwork, his excretory system completely gave way. Ooh, does little Jimmy need a diaper change? Teased the valet. Tears welled up in those vacant eyes, and his shoulders heaved with every uncontrollable sob. Oopsies. My bad, Jimbo. Just trying to mess with you. Hey, no worries, my friend. Seriously, that's why they call them accidents. Without warning, the parking attendant's playful demeanor suddenly turned menacing. A small, spiky protrusion appeared above each of his temples, growing longer as he quietly seethed. Well, so much for the fun and games, he hissed. It's time to get down to brass tacks. Now step out of the vehicle, Johnson, and follow me. Your bed of hot coals is ready for you. And so is eternity. Chapter 4, His Just Desserts. Insufferable heat blistered his skin as they wended their way through a rocky labyrinth. The air was filled with the sounds and smells of human agony. They passed countless open chamber rooms, some of which held history's most infamous evildoers and psychopaths. There were serial killers, mobsters, drug lords, mass shooters, terrorists, and the most ruthless dictators, despots, and tyrants the world has ever known. Many of them were still recognizable despite the countless years spent paying for their heinous acts against humanity. They writhed and thrashed and moaned like dying animals. Foolishly, some cried out, begging for a merciful death they didn't deserve. Inside his crowded chamber room, only one pit of burning embers was unoccupied, and it beckoned onerously with a shimmering cherry-red glow. I reserved this spot just for you, JJ. It's one of our select maximum BTU facilities, right where you belong. The parking attendant proudly pointed out some of his most notorious chambermates, well-known names that would send shivers down the spine of anyone familiar with their unspeakable acts of evil. With his shackles secured, the valet half-whispered a cruel reminder into what remained of James Johnson's left ear. Hell, yeah, baby. Thanks for listening.